Welcome back. A little bit's changed. I've bolted on the chain boxes and you can see I've got some new sprockets for the camshafts and the idler arms. Installing these isn't really a big deal, so that's why I didn't really record it. And I've also just installed the rocker arms for intake and exhaust for cylinders number 4 and cylinder number 1, of course. And I've set the valve lash to 0.1 of a millimetre. Now, of course, what you do is you put your engine at top dead centre, and when you install the camshafts, you have the dots facing up or the keyway facing up on both. I've put my locating pin in there, and what we're going to do now is we're going to try and do the camshaft timing. So first things first, we need to establish top dead centre. Now, you can just use the mark on the top of the pulley, but if you're familiar with parallax error, you could be looking at it like this or like this, so I tend to use a digital degree wheel, so I'm just going to set that up now. Okay, so I have installed my digital degree wheel, which is just this rotary encoder that mounts on the back of the flywheel, of the crankshaft. And there's the readout there, so that's been zeroed. I've established true top dead centre, and it's very, very, very close to what the mark on the flywheel says. But this just makes it a little bit easier to get to exactly where I want to be every revolution. I've installed my dial gauge using the Stomsky camshaft timing tool, and I've got 0.1 of a degree of valve lash adjusted in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rotate the engine over 360 degrees, and then we'll see exactly what our lift is. So I'm just going to mount the camera so you can keep an eye on everything. Oh, timed out. Turn that back on. Oh. Okay, so I've just got a little bit past top dead centre by 0.1 of a degree. And I'll just show you. 0.1 of a degree, and I'm at 0.93 millimetres of lift. So I need to increase that. So what I'm going to do is, so the idea is I'm going to keep rotating until I get to what I want, which on this one I'm going to aim for 1.5. Okay, so I've got the camshaft lift, or the valve lift I should say, where I want it to be. I'm going to back this off. I'm going to pull the pin out if I can, which I can. Now I can see that that's actually moved. So I'm going to just go back to 0 on the crankshaft. Because I've pulled the pin out, the sprocket will rotate on the end of the camshaft without turning the camshaft. This will get me very close to where I want to be. I just got to find the right hole for the pin. Where are we? Up here? Oh, there it is. Let's rotate this. According to that, top dead centre, I'm at 1.44. Okay, so I was aiming for 1.5, ended up at 1.44. What's more important is to have the left bank and the right bank to be exactly the same. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and do the left bank and aim for the 1.44 as well. Okay, let's establish our base setting for the left-hand bank. As you can see, I'm at 0.69 millimeters of lift. So I'm just going to rotate this a bit further until I get to, too far. I'm going to aim for 1.5 millimeters of lift. You can't see it on the dial indicator, not yet. There we go. Pull the pin. Then I'm going to back the crankshaft off. Now I'm going to come, I've gone back before top dead center. Now I'm going to work towards 0, which I'm at. Hopefully find a new home for this pin. Somewhere up here. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to rotate it twice. Too far. I'm at 1.48. Now I didn't write it down, but I'll have a look at my footage. I think it was at 1.44 or 1.45. The question is, can I get a little bit closer? Okay. So this. .45. So I'm within 0.03 millimeters from left and right. The question is, do I chase that 0.03 or do I just run it? Let me know if you think it's worth chasing. Okay, I couldn't leave it alone. I'm trying to chase it on this side here. I'm about to find out for the first time how much I've ruined it, because usually when I try to chase absolute minor discrepancies like this, I end up going further away from where I want to be. So let's go back round to the 360. Oh, I'm at 1.46. I mean, okay, 1.47. There we go, hang on, I'll just... No one's going to believe me. Let it focus. 0 degrees, 1.47. Okay, so I've now installed my original chain tensioners, and I've tested the camshaft timing, and it's the same as when I was using the Stomsky tensioners. So whether you need the fixed ones or not, I'm really not too sure, but either way, it's good to see a confirmation. But another thing I've done now is I'm actually, just to compare how accurate my left and my right banks are to each other, what I've done is I'm going to check the camshaft timing and the duration according to using zero lash. So what you do is you remove all the lash out of the rocker arm so there's no slop in there at all, and you try and focus, and then you switch the gauge to reading imperial, so in thousandths of an inch, and then what you do is you rotate the crankshaft until it starts to open, and then you read when that gets to, what focus are we on here? When that gets to 50 thousandths of lift, you read how many degrees are on the are on the crankshaft. You can check your maximum lift, and then of course as the camshaft starts to close, you measure when it gets to 50 thousandths of opening again on the closing stroke, you measure the number of degrees, and that's a good way that you can check both sides. The camshafts have been reground, so they should be perfect, but yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we're at top dead centre. I've got zero lash in the rocker arm. So let's rotate until it opens to 50 thousandths of an inch. Should start opening about 100 degrees, around that 320 mark. Okay, so I'm at 357.3. So let's write that down. And we'll check our maximum lift.
I come out of hospital on the Tuesday. Saturday morning I was down the beach in the water.
447.
It was the scariest experience of my
and then it starts coming down, and so now we'll also measure when we get to 50 thousandths.
I got back out of the water and not happy with the
6,
situation at all.
getting close to 50. And we're at 224.6, so that should be, is that in focus still? Yeah, that's in focus. 224.5.
From far north Queensland who'd lost his leg. We brought a guy up from South Australia who
Right,
also
a
lost
bit earlier
his
because there's no lash.
years prior.
So we're going to get to 50.
There was about, I think, 20 odd of us turned up and we all went out in the ocean together to take him for his first trip back in the water.
357 point.
We just sat in the ocean and
Oh, it went from 0.1 to 0.0, so 357.0. Find our max lift.
not only from that, but from another few great things that happened within the group, helping him out with other things and just giving him the drive to move on and move forward with his life. And you just get so much from it and you go, wow, we had a tiny bit to play in this guy's success going forward, and now he's got a life that means something to him.
447.
And they're all happy.
Back down again, so I'm just going to write that down. And now we'll get to our 50 thou on the closing.
Very first anniversary.
My plan was to turn up at the same time as my attack and paddle out the same spot and hopefully have a good surf.
And that is 224.1. So if I've written those down. So on the left it was 357.3, on the right it's 357, 447 thousandths of lift, which is good, and 224.5 versus 224.1. Where's the difference? Good question, I don't know. I would say it's got to do in things like chain tensioner, rocker arm profile, what else could there be? Nothing really. But I think for the amount of variance that I'm seeing from left to right, I'm pretty happy that both banks are timed more than accurately enough. So that's how I do camshaft timing.